Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 401. Today is Monday, February 21st, 2022, and I'm glad you could join me today. We are in the intermediate time between rounds of parents visiting, so I've had my introvert recovery day. And now we are, what would be, a very quick episode, call it good, maybe a bit more of a long week before the next one goes up, but whatever, it should be fine. It's honestly, there hasn't been a lot of crafting time this week. It's been pretty busy. Or if not busy, me just like staring off blankly into space. So, that's okay. So, it'll probably be a quick one, and that's fine, because I haven't started anything new, haven't finished anything, have made some small progress. So, we'll call that a win. I am trying out a new to me coffee. I don't think it is unseated the island Ethiopian as my favorite, but this is the Ethiopian from Coffee Fool. And it's a really solid coffee. It's just not choirs of angels singing. Magical strawberryness that the island is, so I'll probably end up needing to make another order of the island. And I also have a Tanzanian pea berry from them, and then Kona. For some reason I had made a strategic mistake when I was purchasing coffee at the airport, and the Kona I got was already ground. I also underestimated my mother's coffee drinking gusto. So would it be? It all works out. So would it be the case where like the thought process would be that I find a source that isn't too crazy, but it turns out it does tend to be sort of expensive for coffee. If it brings a lot of joy, that is good, right? So I am in the midst of the pattern row on this sleeve of the Donner. So this is Donner Blue Bee Studio Elizabeth Dovetry. See, I need to like bring it up so I can like pronounce all the letters, but here we go. Blue Bee Studio, very persnickety. I am past all of the persnickety bits of this pattern at this point, which is fine. And I'm just knitting away on a sleeve because that was what needed to happen. It does look now that I'm far enough into the sleeve that even if I don't have the perfect number of stitches, I am pretty darn close to right, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. And would it be? I'll just have to deal with the ramifications of knitting on the sleeve results in the pattern rows happening more frequently, but it's not like it's the end of the world. I think part of it's just making sure that I slide my needles so that I don't end up dropping stitches, because it is knitting it on a 9-inch circular, which is good and bad. Unfortunately, I lost one of my lapis lazuli and turquoise stitch markers on this project. I'm not entirely sure where it ended up, dropping, but those are ones that I made for SSK 2015, and I had a couple of extra, and so they're like special stitch markers. I have 2 of them on this project already. And would it have been wise to put my progress keeper on the sleeve? Perhaps. But whatever. It's not like it's the end of the world, it's just nice to have. So it hasn't received a lot of love because there just hasn't been a lot of knitting time lately. Whatever. We'll get back into the groove of it eventually, but right now my full-time job is apparently keeping a tiny human fed while taking care of myself in the weird breaks. Would be the case of like, should I have chosen shower over food in this block of time? I almost managed to get coffee, shower, and food in a single block, but we'll see how it comes together. So whatever. There's only so much one can do. And then I think today is the day when I more thoroughly tackle thank you cards and that sort of thing. So I still have a pretty decent amount of sleeve to go, but it will be a very lovely drop shoulder. And right now it isn't actually looking like it's would it be like super negative ease when I'm holding it on me, but I probably won't try it on. Not on air. So, and this is out of my hand spun, which is a combination of merino, alpaca, polworth, and silk in all sorts of rhodopy in lovely purples, blues, reds, and oranges, but it's, I don't know whether you can see. If we bring it really close, maybe. It's very subtle yarn. It doesn't seem, it seems like this did hit my complex but not stripy sort of thing. The pattern makes it a little bit more stripy. But it does seem like this is made a very cool hand spun semi-solid, where the fiber I started with was not semi-solid, which was pretty cool. So I think that plan is validated, which is good. There was some brief puzzling about whether or not I should actually go ahead and make the die stock for the round me, but considering how interrupted my life is right now, hold off on that for the time being. I'm assuming I'm going to end up making 2% die stock with it, and when the time comes, I will find the correct vessel with which to do that. As you do. And then on the spinning front, I did actually make progress on both of my spinning projects this week. So I finished a partially done ball that was hanging off of my spindle project. So this is Hobbledehoy Batlings and Bungalow Farm Angora. The Merino Angora blend, I ended up dyeing a purple colorway. The Hobbledehoy Batlings were in the Gandalf colorway, which was with gray and little pops of cool bright silk. Let me cover my face. There we go. So, pretty neat little cop going on there. So, I'm probably actually to the ounce at this point. But what I ended up doing on Friday was I did a stint on the other project, and then I wrapped up a ball in this one, and then I'll grab another ball and continue on my merry way. So I still have 3 ounces left to spin, no big deal. And the way that I'm wrapping this bad boy, I can probably get some pretty decent height on this before I run out of room on the arms. So I'll probably take some time and take a couple of good photos of all of my projects today because the light's good. It's just super blustering out. It's like, oh, might break limbs off of the poor little eucalyptus tree. Yeah, I know, and the computer just popped up with a high wind warning. It's 55. May not be a good day for a walk, but might do it anyways. So the other project is the same fiber, except the base fiber is Voyager for the Holiday Hoy. And it's very interesting that how blue, or would it be, the base fiber was blue, but the overall impression of this whole project, or this whole part of the project, is blue as well. And so what I had just finished spinning was a bump that had a lot of brightly colored sari silk in it. Let's see if we can't get that slightly closer. Not that close. Oh, this close? There's no winning here, apparently. So, well, they're, like, I dyed the Angora Merino Blurple, but add that with the blue and it just becomes overwhelmingly but delightfully blue in my eyes. So fun colors, I'm definitely getting the fun of spinning the bat, as well as getting through, what would it be, the luxurious part of the fiber too. It'll be interesting to see if we end up getting a little bit more Angora behavior out of it, because it is a quarter Angora, but it'll be these like little bright pops like this. I don't know if you hear the whistling of the wind. It's a little intense, but it'll be the case where that's like little bits of sari or thread or something like that. So the texture in this one, what would it be? The Gandalf ones have smoother texture that acts more as like color, so I don't know if that was just like colored silk, whereas this one tends to be, it's a contrasting color and texture too, so not too crazy, enjoying how it's turning out. When I have a chance, I work on it, so I don't know whether or not I've done 1 or 2 of these little balls since then, but obviously bottom's filling up, so definitely the case where getting some decent progress in on the project, which is great. Feels good to, or would it be? It feels good to have that sort of efficiency. And like, I'm just looking at these little balls and being like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Because I suppose I haven't shown you guys too much of it. And then I'm trying, yeah, so you can probably see a bit of contrast here. So you can clearly see the silver and the blue is really purple. And then these guys don't even really look purple at all, but the color in here is much smoother. And I think there's a little bit of sparkle in it as well. So even though, whatever, bats from the same maker, fiber from the same maker, all basically lumped together as one, there's still a decent amount of contrast and difference between them, which is making the project fun. So the full 4 ounces is counting for spin the bin, and then 3 ounces of the gray is counting for spin the bin, and then when I finish these guys, I will launch into a pound sweater spin. Probably recreating the sort of techniques that I did with my current sweater project. So what would it be? But that's 10 ounces. The pound one would, like, hopefully will end up being thicker here, or I might end up making it thicker on purpose, or applying my way to victory, as you do. But what I have there is some blues and then some fiber that's sort of greens and browns and blues. And so that'll be, I think, a little bit more of a harmonious combination. So then half of it, 8 ounces, is my own hand-dyed, and then the other half is from Hello Yarn. That everything that I got was at Yarn School 2018? Probably. It wasn't 2019. It could have been 2017, but it's probably 2019. So it shouldn't be too crazy there. So what would it be? What else do we? So today is a bank holiday, and apparently, would it be? So it'd be the case where the Dear Sweet Loveful One is taking care of Mr. Daniel Patrick, which is whatever. How I steal this little bit of time. My grand plans of baby wearing my way to victory were somewhat thwarted. I think just because when it comes to like development, like every week seems to be something different. Every day seems to be something different. Like there's some consistency. Would it be? I think the most challenging lesson, or would be like, it's one thing to be tied to like whatever the cadence of needs of the tiny human. What I hadn't realized was that my body is also running on a cadence that's matched to the needs of the tiny human. And so, what would it be? Well, I can choose to do certain things. There are consequences. Consequences to those choices. So, what would it be? So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it'll be interesting to see how that ends up changing. And also the case where you're like, crap, that isn't working. How do I make my body work better in those situations? So that's just interesting. I can see now how it would be a nightmare to do a solo driving trip with a teeny one. Because there would be very frequent breaks. And then frequent breaks in places which would be rather uncomfortable. So you're like, oh yeah, I can see how that's harder. And whatever. More sympathy to my sister. I thought she was being ridiculous. But no, very reasonable. So, I don't know. I'm just enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. Finally see whether or not the disruptions have settled down, or if the disruptions continue. And then what would it be? Probably just following up on the long list of wants to do in my life. So, what would it be? Should write it down on a piece of paper. Because if it's not written down, it's not going to happen. So, what would it be? And definitely ended up, what would it be? Or it'd be the case of, the other thing is just understanding the poorly communicated needs, and that, what would it be? frequent nighttime wake-ups may just be due to how cold Mr. Daniel was instead of how hungry Mr. Daniel was. And that, unfortunately, snuggling happens in both of these situations, so. But, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Should be fine. So I'm assuming that I'll be able to record again after my in-laws leave. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. Sort of the case where it's far enough away where it basically takes like a full day of travel. So what it be? So I think that ends up eating into the time somewhat. And what would it be? Well, it was super nice to have, or would it be? It was the case where it's super nice to have my mom around, but now it's sort of the case where it's like, oh, she moved that. Do I agree? So I'll live with it for a while and figure out if it makes more sense. But would it be? It was quite amazing the transformation she was able to do, but it was also a little bit emotionally tender at the same time. It's like, why couldn't I have done this before? But sometimes you just need the disinterested third party. So it may not be possible to see in this background, but the room is very, very clean right now, which is very exciting. So, and everything's ready to go for the next set of guests, so I'll just go from there. Hopefully it won't be too stressful. It might be stressful because I think our sleep deprivation makes us have shorter fuses. There are definitely days in which 10 p.m. bedtime is very delicious. So that's sort of the life stuff for me. It's not, who would it be? It's all blurring together into one big giant mass, but we'll figure it out. And what would it be? Possibly squander time of sunshine where I actually feel productive. Whatever. No big deal. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.